Welcome back. Let's begin with a foundational truth, a principle that has echoed through the centuries, offered by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. It's not what happens to you that harms you, but how you choose to deal with it. I want you to take a moment and really sit with that. Have you ever found yourself in a state where your mind is an endless loop of frantic activity, a cacophony of worries and scenarios that just won't quiet down? Do you ever notice that you're speaking faster and more than you intended, filling the air with words that perhaps didn't need to be said, all while your attention is scattered to the winds, focusing on 100 trivial things while the one thing that truly matters goes completely neglected? We are living in an era that is positively saturated with noise, a world that is drowning in a relentless flood of information, hot takes, and instant reactions. In this environment, we've begun to mistakenly equate the speed of an opinion with its strength, and we've started to believe that a knee-jerk reaction is a substitute for genuine intelligence. It's no surprise that in the midst of all this, so many men have completely lost their footing. They are emotionally and mentally burned out. Their energy is scattered in a dozen different directions, and they feel a profound and disconcerting disconnect from their own innate power and agency. But here is the crucial thing to understand. This is not a new problem. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome had already diagnosed this human condition over 2,000 years ago. They understood that real strength, authentic masculine power, has nothing to do with simply doing more activities. True strength is about doing things better, with more intention and quality. It is not about shouting louder than everyone else in the room to make your point heard. It is about possessing the profound wisdom to know precisely when to stay quiet and listen. And it is certainly not about thinking endlessly in circles, allowing your mind to be a source of your own torment. It is about learning the art of steering your thoughts with deliberate purpose and clarity. In the content of this video, you're going to discover exactly how the practical, actionable philosophy of Stoicism, specifically tailored for the modern man, can provide you with the tools you need to regain your lost focus, to systematically toughen your mind against the chaos of the world, and to finally begin acting with powerful, unwavering intention. You will learn the critical skill of distinguishing between what is within your power to control and what is not. You will learn to master the often critical inner voice inside your head, and you will learn how to build a personal presence that is so solid and grounded that it speaks volumes louder than words ever could, even when you are standing in complete and total silence. Please know that you are absolutely not alone if you frequently have the feeling that you are slipping beneath a seemingly endless flood of distractions and demands. But I am here to tell you that today, right now, could very well represent the definitive start of your journey back to yourself. I want you to stick with me through this, because when you finally learn the art of thinking less, talking less, and focusing more, a fundamental shift occurs. The world and its chaos ceases to own you and dictate your state of mind. Instead, you step into your power and you own your experience of the world. Please hit the like button if this resonates with you so far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and definitely ring that notification bell so you are guaranteed not to miss the critically important next steps in what is nothing less than a quiet yet profoundly powerful personal transformation. The first principle: your thoughts are not inherent facts. Let's delve into our first principle, which is the understanding that your thoughts are not inherent facts. It is a startling but true phenomenon that sometimes a single solitary thought, often one that arrives uninvited and unnoticed, can completely wreck your entire day. It's a quiet, insidious line that creeps into the theater of your mind like a shadow, whispering things like, "I'm not good enough," or "things will never change for me," or "what if it all goes horribly wrong?" And before you even have a chance to question it, you find that you are living your life and making decisions as if those fleeting, ephemeral words were absolute, unchanging truths carved permanently in stone. But here is the liberating reality: they are not. The Stoics had a deep and sophisticated understanding of this mental trap. Epictetus himself stated, "It's not the events that mess us up, it's the judgments we make about them." Adupi. And yet, I pose a question to you. How often do we as men make the fundamental mistake of conflating a passing transient thought with the objective, capital T, truth? How often do we allow an idea, completely unchallenged and unexamined, to hold us emotionally and psychologically hostage, dictating our mood and our actions? I want you to try a simple but powerful visualization. Picture yourself standing on the platform of a vast, busy train station. Every single thought that enters your mind is a train rolling into the station. Some of these trains are freighted with heavy cargo of regret, others are burning with the fuel of anger, and still others are shrouded in the cold mist of fear. But here is the crucial part: you do not have to hop on board any of them. You possess the ability to simply stand there on the platform and watch them pass by. You can breathe deeply. You can choose to remain right where you are, a calm observer. This simple daily Stoic practice of observing your thoughts without immediately reacting to them is one of the single most effective and sharpest tools you can possibly wield against your own inner chaos. When you allow yourself to become completely tangled up and identified with your thoughts, you inevitably lose control. But when you learn and practice the skill of mentally stepping back and merely watching them with detached curiosity, those thoughts begin to lose their powerful grip on you. They fade in their intensity, they lose their credibility, and they move on. I vividly remember a late-night conversation I had with a former colleague of mine, a team leader who was universally respected by everyone for his preternatural calm and composure under pressure. In a moment of rare vulnerability, he admitted to me that every single morning, without fail, he would wake up with a dense, anxious knot in his stomach. It wasn't because of what was actually happening around him in his life. It was solely because of what his own mind would whisper to him the very second he opened his eyes. "You're not doing enough. You are screwing everything up." For years on end, he had lived his entire life as if those automatic thoughts were final verdicts on his character and his competence. Then, he told me, he quite literally stumbled across the writings of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and something profound within him just clicked. He had a monumental realization. He could create a cognitive distance between himself and his thoughts. He could change his internal language from "I am screwing up" to "I am having the thought that I am screwing up." That seemingly small, almost trivial shift in phrasing changed absolutely everything for him. It was no longer a statement of his identity. It was now just a passing mental event. An idea, like a cloud moving across the sky, like smoke dissipating in the wind. And as the Stoics knew, if you consciously choose not to feed the fire of that thought with your attention and belief, the smoke will always clear. Now, it is vitally important to understand that this practice is not about denying your thoughts or trying to forcibly pump yourself up with empty positive thinking. That approach is simply another, more subtle way of dodging reality. This is about recognizing the fundamental nature of your own mind. It is a thought-generating machine, and it churns out thoughts automatically and constantly. Not all of these thoughts are useful. A great many of them are merely leftover mental debris from old experiences, inherited fears from our upbringing, or completely unfiltered, raw reactions to immediate stimuli. And this is the most important part. You are not those thoughts. You are the conscious awareness, the space in which they show up. You are the one who holds the ultimate power to decide which thoughts you will nurture and give energy to, and which thoughts you will simply allow to drift on by. The entire Stoic practice begins with cultivating that moment-to-moment awareness. You don't need to retreat to a cabin in the woods or book an expensive meditation retreat to start. You just need to commit to a few minutes each day to simply pause and notice. When a thought arrives that carries a sting, make a conscious choice. Don't react impulsively. Don't aggressively push it away. Don't cling to it and obsess over it. Just watch it. Ask yourself with genuine curiosity, is this thought really true? Do I have concrete, undeniable proof that it is true? Does holding on to this thought and believing it make me mentally and emotionally stronger, or does it make me weaker? If you determine that the thought is not serving you or your goals, then your task is to let it go. Not with force or anger, but with a sense of calm release, like opening your hand and dropping a heavy rock that you never needed to carry in the first place. Bit by bit, brick by brick, this practice allows you to carve out a sacred inner space within yourself. And in that quiet, clear space, something emerges that no thought can ever fake or imitate. Profound clarity, deep quiet, and a steady, unshakable strength. This is not magic, it is discipline. It is the practice of coming back again and again and again to the present moment, to the platform of the observer, to the core of who you truly are. The Stoics never aimed to stop thinking altogether. Their aim was to tame the mind, to guide it. They knew with absolute certainty that an unguided, untrained mind is like a runaway horse. It will drag you wherever it wants to go, often into places of pain and suffering. But a mind that has been trained through practices like this becomes your greatest ally. It lights the path ahead of you, and most importantly, it allows you to walk that path freely and with purpose. So the next time a voice in your head says you can't, that you're not enough, or that it's too late, I want you to do one simple thing. Breathe. Do not board that train. Stay with yourself on the platform, because your thoughts do not define you. What you choose to do with them, that is what defines you. And that, right there, is the essence of real strength. It is quiet, it is internal, and it is truly unshakable. The second principle, the immense power of saying less. Let's move on to our second principle, the immense and often overlooked power of saying less. Marcus Aurelius offered us a brilliant insight when he wrote, "The stronger your soul, the less it needs to justify itself." There are certain kinds of silences that can make people feel incredibly uncomfortable, that can make them squirm in their seats. And then, there are other kinds of silences that command an immense and instant respect from everyone in the room. We are living in a world where fast, glib talking is constantly mistaken for intelligence, and where sheer loudness often succeeds in drowning out subtlety and actual truth. In such an environment, making the conscious choice to say less is not merely a communication style, it is an act of profound defiance. And importantly, this defiance is not directed against other people. It is a defiance against your own ego. Your ego always wants to have the last word. It wants to clap back with a witty retort. It wants to be heard and acknowledged and validated. But you must remember, you are not here on this earth to prove anything to anyone else. You are here to master yourself. I recall a specific individual from my past, a man who used to attend our office meetings. Everyone, without exception, seemed to steer clear of him. It wasn't because he was a jerk or unpleasant. It was because he was fundamentally different. He didn't talk unless it was absolutely necessary. He spent his time listening intently. He watched everything with a keen eye. And on the rare occasions when he did finally choose to speak, every single word he uttered landed with the weight and impact of something carved in stone. It wasn't because he raised his voice or used dramatic language. It was because he never, ever wasted a single syllable. He didn't engage in petty arguments. He didn't feel the need to over-explain himself or justify his position. He only opened his mouth when he had something genuinely worth saying. That quality made him utterly unforgettable. The Stoics saw this disciplined restraint as a core virtue. A wise man, in their view, does not talk out of mere habit or social reflex. He talks by conscious, deliberate choice. He doesn't feel compelled to jump into every verbal sparring match because he possesses the deep wisdom to know that some of the most important battles are actually won by strategically staying out of them altogether. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about this, noting that the soul actually grows stronger when it can maintain its calm and composure amid the world's relentless noise. And let's be honest, that is the real challenge for a man today, holding your ground and maintaining your center when everything and everyone around you is screaming, provoking, and demanding an immediate response. Choosing to say less is not about biting your tongue out of fear of conflict or because you are timid. It is about exercising your power of choice in determining when it is wise to speak and when it is wiser to hold back. It is about knowing in your gut that not every verbal jab from someone else deserves a counterpunch. Not every taunt or provocation requires a clever comeback. Not every single moment calls for an explanation from you. Think about it. When you feel compelled to respond to everything that comes your way, you are essentially handing your precious energy over to the external world. You scatter your focus, you fragment your attention, and you emotionally unravel. But when you consciously choose silence with a sense of purpose and intention, you are actually sharpening your own mind. You become a man who doesn't just react impulsively. You become a man who acts with deliberation. The Stoics were certainly not advocates for people-pleasing or being a pushover. They were advocates for living a life of virtue and integrity. And a fundamental part of that virtuous life is not saying more than you actually need to. It is about measuring your words with the same care and precision that a skilled fighter measures his punches, because an extra careless word can sometimes cut far deeper than you ever intended, while a well-timed, purposeful pause can effortlessly diffuse an emotional bomb. I want you to think back to the last time you spoke purely on impulse. Maybe it was a sharp jab at someone, a defensive remark, or an opinion that you didn't actually need to share with the world. Was it truly worth it, or did it leave you feeling hollow afterward, trying to patch over the gap between your intention and your action with a layer of regret? Silence, on the other hand, is a state that never leads to regret. It buys you invaluable time to think. It gives you a broader perspective on the situation. It hands you back the reins of control over your own emotions and actions. Choosing to say less also has the powerful effect of making you more present in the moment. It actively forces you to listen, to really, truly listen to the other person. Not so you can quickly fire back a response, not so you can win the exchange, but so you can genuinely understand what is being communicated. And when you do that, something wild and amazing happens. The other person intuitively senses that you are not there to fight with them, that you are actually paying deep attention, and they naturally lower their guard. And in the process, you change and grow too. By not talking unnecessarily, you automatically start to think with greater clarity. Your words gradually cease to be mere reactions and instead become conscious choices. Epictetus taught that the path to self-mastery begins with first learning to control our impulses, and only then can we hope to control our words. He pointed out that there is no greater feeling of freedom than the freedom that comes from not needing to constantly justify yourself to everyone around you. That kind of freedom isn't loud or boastful. It is found in the quiet of your breath, in the steadiness of your gaze, in the palpable calm you carry within you when you make the conscious choice to embrace silence, even in moments when you know you could easily dominate the conversation with a killer argument. Saying less isn't just a vibe or a personality trait, it is a full-fledged philosophy for living. It's a constant daily reminder that true control over your life begins with gaining control over your own tongue. It proves that real respect from others is never something that can be demanded. It is something that is quietly and powerfully earned through your actions and your composure. And in a world that is so full of noise and empty talk, a man who has genuinely mastered the art of silence becomes a presence that is so strong it doesn't even need an introduction. So the next time you feel that powerful urge rising up in you to fire back a quick retort, I want you to do this. Pause. Take a single, deep breath. Then ask yourself these three questions. Is what I'm about to say truly necessary? Is it useful for the situation? Is it authentically true to the man I want to become? If the answer to any of these is no, then have the strength to simply keep your words to yourself. Because sometimes the greatest and most powerful strength a man can display is found in saying absolutely nothing at all. And in that chosen silent space, you will find that you grow stronger, clearer, and more authentically yourself. The third principle: exert control only over what is yours to control. Now, let's explore our third principle, the critical importance of exerting control only over what is genuinely yours to control. Every single one of us has experienced those moments in life when it feels like the entire world is gunning for you, when it seems like everything is breaking down all at once. Your carefully laid plans fall apart completely. People you trusted let you down in profound ways. Golden opportunities vanish right before your eyes. The past rises up to sting you with regret, and the future looms ahead, heavy with uncertainty and worry. In the midst of that kind of sheer chaos, one single question cuts through all the noise. What do I do now? What is my next move? Most people, when faced with this, immediately look for someone or something outside themselves to blame. They become consumed with the "why me" narrative. Others simply give up, surrendering to a sense of helplessness. But there is another kind of man, a different breed, who makes a different choice entirely. He turns his attention inward. He understands on a fundamental level that the only form of power that cannot ever be taken away from him is the power to choose his response to any given situation. You cannot control the hand that life deals you, the circumstances, the events, the actions of other people, but you absolutely can decide how you will play the cards you have been given. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus framed this as the most important split in all of human existence, the division between what is within our control and what is not. This principle is as beautifully simple as it is brutally honest. It places the entire weight of your mental and emotional well-being squarely on your own shoulders. Your peace is determined not by what happens to you, but by what you allow those events to do to you on the inside. You cannot stop other people from letting you down. That is their choice, their domain. But you can choose, with every fiber of your being, not to let that disappointment eat you alive from the inside out. You cannot go back and rewrite the past. It is set in stone. But you can make the choice to prevent that past from defining your present and your future. And in that pivotal moment of clarity, when you finally stop wrestling and struggling with all the things you cannot change, and instead grab the wheel of what you actually can influence, you instantly start taking your power back. Imagine yourself as the captain of a ship on the open sea. As the captain, you have zero control over the wind or the waves. These are external forces of nature. But you do have complete control over the rudder, the sails, and the ultimate choice of whether to keep sailing forward or to drop anchor and wait out the storm. A man who lives by Stoic principles lives exactly like that captain. He doesn't waste energy pretending the storm isn't happening or indulging in wishful thinking that it will just go away. He soberly assesses the situation and asks himself, where do I have real leverage here? What are the tools actually at my disposal? And from that place of clarity, he moves, he decides, he builds. I once had a long conversation with a man who had lost his entire business, a venture he had spent 20 years building practically overnight. He told me that the hardest part of the entire ordeal wasn't the financial loss, as devastating as that was. The hardest part was the overwhelming, crushing feeling of being completely powerless. He described watching his very sense of self, his identity, crumble away with every unpaid bill and every closed door. For months, he was completely stuck in a cycle of anger and blame, pointing fingers at the economy, at his partners, at fate, drowning in a sea of things he could not fix. Then, one day, he simply stopped. He went and grabbed a blank notebook, and drew two columns on a fresh page. One column he labeled "What I Cannot Control." The other he labeled "What I Can Control." In the first column, he wrote down all the external factors: the market crash, his former partner's decisions, the past mistakes. In the second column, he wrote down his own routine, his mindset each morning, his daily discipline, his willingness to learn new skills, his courage to start over from scratch. From that day forward, he didn't just focus on rebuilding a business, he built a fortress of inner peace. Because that kind of clarity gives you strength, and that kind of focus makes you virtually untouchable by external events. Even Marcus Aurelius, a man who literally ran the entire Roman Empire, knew that not everything was up to him. He wrote in his private journal to remind himself that happiness and peace do not come from outside events, but from the quality of his own thoughts and judgments. An emperor who could command legions of armies could not command fate or the actions of others. Yet his real, unassailable power was found in how he chose to respond to those events, by not whining, by not quitting, by staying steadfast and steady in his core values, while the world around him spun utterly out of control. Controlling what you can does not mean magically making everything perfect. It means taking firm control of the helm of your own life, no matter how fierce the storm raging around you becomes. It means that when everything outside of you is shaking and falling apart, you make the conscious choice about what will remain solid inside of you. Your calm, your sense of purpose, your capacity for deliberate, thoughtful action. It means living from your deepest roots and values, not from your fleeting automatic reactions. If you ever feel like you have lost your way, like you are being pulled under by circumstances, I want you to do this. Just stop. Take a deep, full breath. Then, look hard and honestly at what you are trying to control. Make a conscious effort to let go of everything that is not truly yours to control. And then, pour every single ounce of your energy into moving the things you actually can influence, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem in the moment. Because when you choose with that kind of crystal clarity where to direct your strength, every action you take becomes cleaner, sturdier, and authentically yours. That is what keeps a man from breaking, even when it feels like the world is falling apart around him. Not luck, not favorable circumstances, but his own relentless daily choice to return to what truly matters. Because that is precisely where all real transformation begins. Not out there in the external world, not at some point in the distant tomorrow, but right here, right now. In what you choose to think, in how you choose to respond, and in who you choose to be when no one else is watching and no one else gets a say. Real strength is forged in the quiet. So, to bring it all together, let's be perfectly clear. Real strength is not about being able to lift heavier weights in the gym or yelling louder than everyone else to get your point across. Authentic strength is something that is forged in the quiet moments. It is built in the countless moments you choose to think before you react. It is solidified on the days you make the conscious decision to zero in with laser focus only on what is within your power to control. Every single time you choose to speak with genuine purpose or to stay wisely quiet, you are building that strength. Today, we have covered these three core pillars that have the power to completely reshape a man's life: to think less, to talk less, and to focus more. And this is not some far-off, unattainable ideal reserved for monks on a mountaintop. This is a daily, practical practice. It is a way of living that is constructed with every single choice you make, with every conscious breath you take, with every thought you observe, without allowing it to become your unquestioned truth. When you finally internalize the realization that your thoughts do not define you, that your silence is actually a form of strength, and that your focus is what ultimately shapes your path, something monumental shifts within you. Not out there in the external world, but in here, in your inner world. You stop feeling the desperate need to prove your worth to the world because you now carry that worth within you, unshakably. You remind yourself daily that peace Discipline and clarity are not innate gifts given to a lucky few. They are skills, they are muscles that you can build, that you can sharpen, and that you must defend. So I urge you, do not wait for the perfect moment to begin. The perfect moment is a myth. Start today, right where you are with what you've got. Breathe, pause, choose. And if you ever find yourself wavering or forgetting these principles, come back to this video. Let every word here serve as a gentle nudge back to your center. Remember always, your mind does not run you unless you willingly hand it the reins. Your voice does not lose its value or power by staying quiet when it is wise to do so. And your focus is the single most powerful tool you possess for building the life you want. If anything we've discussed here today hits home for you, I want you to drop it in the comments below. Where in your life do you need to create more silence? What is one thing you are choosing to let go of today? Your story, your struggle, your insight might just be the very thing that sparks another man to find his way back to himself too. Please subscribe to have your daily dose of uplifting content.